Good evening, YouTube. This is the Three Middle-Aged Guys, and I'm Ray Mouse One, your host for this particular video. And I am joined with
the theme here
and the Reverend.
This video is very interesting because we actually got a request for us to do this. The topic of this video is 80s and 90s cartoons. So without monopolizing your guys' time, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, let me start off with a little history lesson here. Okay, now, if it's not obvious by now, we are middle-aged guys. We have been on this earth upwards to 4 decades, and cartoons has changed quite a bit from the mid to late 70s, all the way up until now. In fact, I will say this right now, very, very openly and very, very honestly. Modern cartoons suck a dick. Yeah, majority of modern cartoons suck ass. They really, really do. Okay. And a big reason for that was that the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, in the 1990s, went ahead and enacted the Children's Television Act of 1990. Okay. Their thing was that, okay, there was a bunch of things that they changed and they regulated and they put down on. They said, look, if you're going to make children's programming, it doesn't matter if it's something like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or it's a cartoon or anything else, that there was going to be requirements because we want to go ahead and make sure that things are appropriate and safe and educational for kids. Okay, one of the things that they went ahead and they put together was that there were what they called safe harbor hours. Okay, legally, if you were to go ahead and put together children's programming, it could not be on public TV from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. All right, which the side effect of that was that Adult Swim being showed after 10 o'clock, that popped up afterwards, okay? Mm-hmm. Because if it was something that was rated for kids and it was marketed for kids, it couldn't be on in those particular hours, okay? No. Mm-hmm. Likewise, they started rating things for kids. You started seeing fucking ratings show up on TV. Yeah, that wasn't the case. You know, the other thing that was really, really annoying was that they started saying that if you're going to go ahead and make children's cartoons or market things towards kids, there's got to be a very defined percentage of the actual onboard broadcast that has to be educational. Now, some shows were good about that and dealt with that in very creative ways. Other shows turned into fucking Dora the Explorer. All right. So I mean, a lot of the things that came out of current cartoons right now is a direct result of that Federal Communications Commission fucking Children's Programming Act from 1990. Okay, so sorry guys, but this is one you can't blame us. It was our parents who fucking did it.
Look, as far as cartoons, I'm just gonna start with the 80s, okay? Now, there are cartoons well beyond the 80s that were good, that we'll still watch to this day.
True.
But, I mean, come on. As a child, as a boy growing up in the 80s, we had it all. Cartoons, toys, TV shows, fucking we could go outside and play, video games. But cartoons was a cornerstone. If you did not watch certain cartoons, you were getting made fun of on the fucking schoolyard to a certain extent. Transformers is gonna always, the original Transformers, is always gonna hold a place in my heart. If you said that GoBots was better than Transformers, we're making fun of you. It's just as simple as that. Fuck no.
It did come first.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah, the egg before the omelet.
Between Mattel and Hasbro, but yeah, you know, just say.
Wait, the egg came before the omelet. But fuck you, I'd rather have a fucking omelet than just an egg. Okay, Transformers. I wish they would have finished the Pirates of Dark Water. Look, if Netflix could pick that shit up and do what they did with fucking Voltron, or just finish the Pirates of Dark Water, just please do that. Please do that. As far as educational shit, you had lessons at the end of certain cartoons. Transformers had it. G.I. Joe had it. Even He-Man had it. Thundercats even had it to a certain extent.
Well, you know, one of the reasons why so many television stations started dropping fucking cartoons altogether in the mid to late 90s was that one of the commissions, the FCC commission's standards that they went ahead and they did was in 1996. They called it the 1996 mandate. Okay. And what it was that if you were going to be showing any sort of children's programming on your TV, on broadcast TV, that you had to show a minimum of 3 hours every fucking week.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So not only did you have, showmakers struggling with just good content in general, but they had to shoehorn in all this other stuff. Where a lot of the best cartoons that we've seen, even the ones where they hit each other over the fucking head with frying pans, they had their educational portions. They were put in, and it was organic. It was part of what was going on.
Look, I'm gonna just start. Let's just start naming cartoons out there.
Well, hang on. Before you do that, I like to say, even before the 80s cartoons, you had Hanna-Barbera, you had all these cartoons, Tom and Jerry, Popeye, and back in the 80s.
Popeye is all the way in the 30s.
I know.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse, but back in the 80s, Disney Channel was actually a good thing to watch. You actually watched the real Chip and Dales and the real Donald Ducks and the real, they actually had the old school cartoons. And it's just that how much cartoons have, and the FCC had so much influence over what children were able to consume.
You see, the funniest thing about certain cartoons, I'm glad that you mentioned like the old Donald Ducks and Chip and Dales and stuff like that, and Tom and Jerry's. Some of those were shown in movie theaters before movie productions.
Correct.
Yep.
So when they started bringing them towards home, they were all in bundles by that time.
Well, when they were being shown in the movie theater, those cartoons were mostly adult content. I mean, especially like you said, you have that damn mouse hitting Tom over the head with all kinds of stuff.
What about someone like Yosemite Sam?
Yeah, exactly.
Sugar, carrot eating varmint. He was borderline. To him, Donald Duck were borderline cursing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with look, you had a sailor that eats spinach and that whooped ass at the end of the fucking cartoon. Who didn't eat spinach because of this guy? We weren't smoking because he had a fucking pipe, but we were sure eating some fucking spinach.
I know I was. I'll be honest about that.
I mean, it's just really weird that
we weren't eating it raw out of a can, but we were eating some fucking spinach.
It's just really weird that the FCC, caused this. I mean, for some reason, like you said, in the 80s and the 90s. So you're telling me that cartoons have been, on the air since the movie theaters. I mean, we're talking about in the 30s. And all of a sudden in the 80s, oh, this is not acceptable for...
or cartoons are too violent. It's like, wait the fuck the minute.
Yeah.
Well, that really kind of falls in line. Remember what we're talking about, and I'm trying not to open up an old wound. But remember when we're talking about the second part of Gaming While Middle-Aged, that there was this huge drive about, oh, this is what's causing the ill will of youth. This is what's causing the ill will of youth. When the truth of the matter is that, and I can speak from personal experience, a lot of our parents were on fucking drugs. And they weren't at fucking home being parents. I remember being a latchkey kid, and you're sitting there, you take a human being, okay, and you completely remove yourself from being a supervisor and a fucking parent to them, okay. You let them go off on their own with other human beings, young human beings who have no fucking supervision, All right. You think they're going to get into any fucking trouble? Nah, they're just kids. Yeah, right. Until you're getting fucking called by the cops because they're setting shit on fire. Yeah. You know, and that's on the low end of the fucking, you know, nondescript fucking end of things. It's just one of those things where it's like, fuck, come on, think about it. Like, again, I don't want to, you know, open up old wounds or derail the thing, because, okay, the one thing that like I said, the earmark of every geek is that the things that you loved as a kid, you continue to love as an adult. Okay?
You said that before.
I have no shame saying that I watch animated shows, I watch cartoons, I watch anime, you know, I watch cartoons from around the fucking world. Okay? It doesn't even matter if it's in English, as long as it has subtitles, I will watch if it's entertaining.
Right.
All right.
But
so
there was a huge change from the 80s and 90s up until now, because the majority of stuff that I see on TV, fuck that shit. It sucks. Okay? But what we're going to do is that we're probably going to talk about something that we like, and that's what I'm assuming, right, guys?
Like and we don't like.
Yeah.
Let's
And,
talk about the garbage, too.
To start it off, there are certain cartoons that you, A, woke up early to watch before going to school, or B, you ran your ass home to see because you know it came home, you know, school let out 3 o'clock or whatever, and you know your favorite cartoon was coming on at 3:30. So you ran your ass home or whatever. And some of my most memorable cartoons in the mornings had to be like the Woody Woodpecker. I know those are old.
Walter Lantz.
But, I mean, come on, Woody Woodpecker in the morning, man. That's one of those things that, oh, my God, I remember that. Woody Woodpecker, and then, what was it? God, dude. For me, Inspector Gadget was in the morning.
Gadget.
What else was in the morning?
Dun, 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 dun.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so those are two of my favorite in the morning time. I have several others, but I want to give you guys some time to list yours out as well. Go ahead.
Only Heaven and Earth Colliding was going to not let me watch Voltron, okay? Voltron was the cartoon, the Lion Force Voltron. Vehicle Force I could skip, but because I wasn't satisfied until he formed that blazing sword and he chopped something up. That's something that I was just so in love with Voltron. I was like, form those lions, chopped up the Robies, and I'll be on my way. Then there's fucking, of course, I named Transformers. I loved Mask. Mask was and that was a spinoff of G.I. Joe. A lot of people don't know and understand that. G.I. Joe was annoying to me because no one got hit.
That's because the FCC. The FCC wouldn't allow that to happen.
No.
Well,
planes would get hit, motherfuckers would jump out with parachutes. I'm like, come the fuck on.
What about
but still, these are lasers. These weren't bullets.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they get out of the helicopter fast enough for the.
Oh yeah, laser hits and they just come out.
Yeah. They don't end up in the rotors of the helicopter and or anything like that. They just parachute to safety. Yep.
Okay, Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. When I started growing up, I actually sat there and I started thinking about it because I was like, wait a second here. When the cartoon progresses, I'm like, wait a second. It's not about eating this bird anymore. It's personal. He just wants to stop the bird now.
Not even
because
stop.
some of the shit that he was coming up with, I'm like, oh wow, he wants to kill this bird. It's not even about catching it or eating it anymore. He's like, I just want to fucking stop it. I don't care what lengths I have to go. You drop 10,000 pounds on this bird, you're not going to be able to lift the 10,000 pounds in order to get it. No, you just want him stopped at that fucking point. Fuck that bird. Think about it. Tweety has been in Sylvester's stomach. So has Jerry. Jerry has been caught by Tom. But fucking hardly anything has happened to that fucking Roadrunner. He's been caught once. And when he did catch the Roadrunner, it was under fucked up circumstances. Fuck. I mean, damn it. Action cartoons. And then there were just cartoons that were just fun to watch. Like Animaniacs. Animaniacs is still fun to watch to this day. Tiny Toons is still fun to watch to this day.
Thundercats.
You know what's funny about Animaniacs and Tiny Toons is that, you know, when the FCC was doing their bullshit and everything, those are two very rare examples that went ahead and they were like, hey, look, we're already doing the educational shit.
Exactly.
You know, and people are fucking entertained, not just kids, but also adults. I mean, how many people could still sit there and remember, you know, fucking singing out all the states of the country, or
countries
of the world, you know?
And that was the thing about it. That was on the second freaking episode of the show.
Yeah,
that was episode number 2 when Yakko did that, and it's like, wow, who put this together? And that can't be copied again.
Yep.
It just can't. Dora is not going to do that.
Well, I mean, one thing too is we forgot is I enjoyed the Disney afternoon. That's what it used to be called. We had Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and then we had Woo DuckTales. And I still don't understand as a kid that Scrooge McDuck can actually jump into his gold and win it. And
he was the only one who could do that, too.
He was the only one that could do that.
Huey, Dewey,
and Louie would try, and they would let him go, and they say, how does he do that?
Yeah, he said, you took it out of my mouth. And even Family Guy has actually even, you know, did a nod.
Peter Griffin tried to do it.
Yeah. I mean, then you got things like Tailspin. A lot of people didn't like Tailspin. The Gummy Bears.
That's because they put Jungle Book characters and they modernized them.
Correct.
As
then
fucking pilots.
You got the Gummy Bears that drank some juice and could jump around all over the place.
Drunk melted jelly. Fuck that.
And then you got these classic cartoons, Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats. I mean,
Cadillac Cat.
Come on, the Cadillac Cat.
Yes. His cousin Riff Raff. The only thing, they never met on screen unless it was at the ending credits of the show.
Absolutely. Mm. It's just amazing. I mean, 80s and the 90s were the place to be. Oh, and speaking of 90s, Batman the Animated Series.
Oh Lord, if you weren't watching that, you best have a good excuse if you didn't see Batman the Animated Series.
Don't forget about Gargoyles. Also,
that was one of the first cartoons, or the actual first, that went prime time.
Yep. When it first debuted was Sunday night at prime time.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing about that is, and this will actually maybe serve as a point where I could sit there and rewind a little bit, it was that Batman the Animated Series, the pedigree of the folks who were working on that, they started out doing Tiny Toons and the Animaniacs. Because what happened was that Steven Spielberg, when he had finished producing Who Framed Roger Rabbit, he was really, really hardcore on pushing forward to doing some sort of animated project. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a Warner Brothers production and everything else, and it was also
Warner Brothers and Disney.
Yeah, it was a co-production between Warner Brothers and Disney. Probably one of the few times you're ever going to see that ever. It's never going to fucking happen again. It is never going to fucking happen again. Okay, just to put that in reference. But Steven Spielberg, he went ahead after he produced that. He was really high on doing animation. So what he wanted to do, is like, okay, well, what do we have there that we can go ahead and do? Since he was working with Warner Brothers, they were like, well, we always have Looney Tunes. And he was like, you know what? The Looney Tunes have already been around for almost 50 fucking years. Let's go ahead and see if we could change it a little bit. And that's where Tiny Toons came out of. A few years later, you know, Spielberg was really, really big on inside jokes within the Hollywood industry.
That's what it was.
What Animaniacs came out with. But the funny thing about that is that the pedigree for those particular people who were working on it, folks like Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and other guys like Eric Radomski and other guys who were working on those particular projects, goes back even farther, because Paul Dini, the guy who was the main writer for one of the main writers for Batman the animated series, he also wrote for Animaniacs. He wrote for Tiny Toons. He wrote for fucking He-Man. He wrote for fucking Fat Albert. I mean, this guy had been in the industry for a long, long time, you know. And the funny thing about it is that, you know, when they talk about educational programming and everything for kids, one of the first things that I think of besides Mr. Rogers, Fat Albert was great when it came to that. And the funny thing about that is that a lot of the writings and even the voices were done by old Jewish men.
Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Yep.
What about Darkwing Duck?
Oh, Darkwing Duck is great. I mean, actually,
the second spinoff. Second spinoff
of DuckTales, yeah.
Of DuckTales.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I'll even say this. Even Care Bears, man. I mean, they had cartoons for everybody. They had cartoons. They had Rainbow Bright. They had My Little Pony. They had Care Bears. You know, they had cartoons for girls. They had cartoons for boys. They had cartoons for everybody.
I hated the Smurfs. I couldn't. Wait. Okay, wait. I understand it's not for everybody, but I just couldn't stomach blue creatures living in fungus. I couldn't stomach that, especially if there's 100 of them. You mean to tell me that there's going to be 100 different mushroom houses and one old wizard couldn't find these motherfuckers?
And there's 99 males and only one female.
The one female was created by the fucking wizard.
Yep, Gargamel.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's, what about the Snorks?
Okay, underwater Smurfs.
Yeah.
That's
Richie Rich
was, and they had a female species there.
Hated Richie Rich. Hated Richie Rich. Fuck that guy.
One thing we forgot was He-Man, She-Ra.
No, I mentioned He-Man. Okay. He-Man is great.
Sort of gray skull.
Here's one right here. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You talk about a cartoon that totally gripped. It was that. It was the Ninja Turtles, the cartoon that totally just gripped. Even video games went to certain cartoons, like the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah, well, you know, the funny thing about TMNT is that it started out, really, it was Eastman and Laird. Pretty much, they were doing like a kind of a parody, and they were making commentary of shit that they had seen overseas, as far as what they were putting together. And, you know, that grew into its own entity. The funny thing about that was that their particular concept and everything else would be mirrored, you know, over a decade later, with the Powerpuff Girls. Because the Powerpuff Girls were pretty much a parody of the Super Sentai or Mahou Shoujo anime and manga that was out there. You know, what was it? Something McCracken. He was putting it together, and the other producer of Samurai Jack, Gendy Todorovsky or something like that. Yeah, and they put that out of a lot of the more recent cartoons. Because the thing is when I think about cartoons that I really, really love, I mean, I go back as far as what's that? G-Force or Battle of the Planets.
Yes.
Actually,
1978, 1979.
Wasn't G-Force Gotcha Man?
Yeah, that's Gotcha Man.
That is good shit. That's some good Japanese animation right there.
But if you think about it, you know, Gotcha Man, when it was first shown in Japan, it was shown back in like 1976.
Yeah.
I was barely fucking born.
Yep.
When it happened, and when it came to here, you know, under Sandy Frank Productions, when I remember watching it, you know, yeah, you know, Sandy Frank Productions and everything went ahead and they changed a lot of the stuff. In fact, Seven Zark 7, he wasn't anywhere attached to actual Gotchaman. He was just inserted in to fill in time for shit that they edited out of the Japanese version.
You know what? If you just watch the Japanese version of Gatchaman, then you're set.
Please do.
Yep.
One thing too is I like to mention is the real Ghostbusters. I'm talking about the real Ghostbusters. That cartoon, yes.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that there was a show back in the 60s and 70s called The Ghostbuster. The Ghostbuster. All right.
So that's why they had to call it the real Ghostbusters.
Yep.
In the 80s when they actually modeled the Ghostbusters after the movie that came out.
Yeah.
I love Silverhawks. Have to mention that because
I probably don't get smacked for this one. What about maybe Reverend will like this one? Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons was a fucking favorite of mine.
Dungeons and Dragons. They actually had a cartoon.
Even Pac-Man had a cartoon. What about the cartoon? What about the actual cartoon of Dragon's Lair?
Yes.
The problem with a lot of the really early 80s cartoons, the reason why we can sit there and rattle off so many fucking titles is that with cartoons multiple times, producers will go out of their way and they do an initial order and it's only of 13. Okay, 13 episodes, which they go ahead and they show off if it's a weekly show over 13 weeks. But a lot of times with children's programming, they'll do it on a daily thing. Like, for instance, a really old one from like the early 1980s there was a cartoon based off of I Dream of Jeannie from Hanna-Barbera.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Yes, there was.
Yep.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, in fact, Mark Hamill went ahead and he sang the intro song for that.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. But
now I have to see it. I have to see. I know.
Here's the thing: they only ran. It was the highest rated cartoon of its season, but they only ordered up like 13 episodes. When they were saying, "Hey, look, let's go ahead and let's do season 2," all they did was they ran the same fucking season over for like two more fucking seasons before they took it off the air.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Even Gilligan's Island had a cartoon. A lot of people didn't even know that Rubik's The Amazing Cube was a cartoon.
Oh no,
Rubik's, yes.
One cartoon that we forgot for the 90s. I mean, it was Dexter's Laboratory. That's another afternoon.
Okay, wait.
We should separate. Yeah, we should separate the Cartoon Network cartoons that started coming off the late 90s.
80s and 90s cartoons afternoon cartoons.
Because the thing is that after the mandate of 1996, that's really when Cartoon Network really shot into the fucking stratosphere because they were like, hey, look, since we're not part of regular broadcast TV, we're part of cable TV, we can go ahead and show whatever we want as far as animated entertainment, and we don't have to adhere to that bullshit that you see on the regular channels from 2 to 13.
See, even something like the Flintstones, that was the first cartoon, as far as I knew, that actually structured like a real show because it even had Wilma pregnant there.
It was based off of the Honeymooners.
Yes, it sure was.
Yeah, they were parodying the Honeymooners pretty much.
I mean, I was like, okay, fine, yeah.
And this cartoon, no relation to the Gray Mouse, but Danger Mouse. Come on, man.
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse. Come on, dude.
The theme song to Danger Mouse is what actually got me hooked on the show. That and Count Duckula.
Count Duckula.
It's funny because a lot of people don't know that Count Duckula was a spawn of Danger Mouse. Yep. Duckula was actually a character of Danger Mouse. And then got spawned into his own show.
I was more of a Duck Dodgers fan myself.
Duck Dodgers.
Duck Dodgers. That was a great cartoon, man.
The funniest thing about it is they had 2 episodes of Duck Dodgers himself, and then they spawned to an actual cartoon.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, we've named all our favorite cartoons and whatnot. Let's let's talk about the influence that it had on kids and us growing up until, and have that in direct contrast to what these new kids are growing up with.
These new kids are growing up with garbage. That's what they're growing up with, for the most part, just as the Reverend said earlier. I mean, okay, wait. Don't get me wrong. We grew up with certain things that are garbage. I mean, MC Hammer had a cartoon called Hammer Man.
Yeah.
Mr. T had a fucking cartoon.
Mr. T had a cartoon. Even Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling was a fucking cartoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, come on.
Garbage programming, we're not exempt from it. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because look, I'm sorry, hated Johnny Quest. Nope. I can't stand Johnny Quest.
That theme song was badass, though.
Look, that was the point. It was like the Shaq Fu of cartoons. It started off badass, and then it was just boring as fuck. I'm like, man, I tune in for the theme song and the theme song only, and then I just changed the channel after that.
Well, let's go back to Gray Mouse's question, though. All right, the one thing okay, let me give you a prime example of why I think cartoons are shit now. And this cartoon has been on for almost a fucking decade. All right, Caillou.
Oh no.
This little cancer patient is the bane of fucking existence, I swear. Because the thing is that this little kid, he sits there and he spends, out of the 22-minute, aired part of the episode, he spends 20 fucking minutes whining and complaining and throwing fucking fits until his ambiguous fucking parents, who are completely absentee, sit there and say, oh, it's okay, and then all of a sudden everything's fucking okay and the fucking credits roll. It's like, bitch, no, things don't fucking work out that way. God damn. Okay. You wonder why.
I can accept that from Curious George,
because he's a fucking monkey.
Yeah, exactly, but I can't accept that from No.
Fucking stab me in the eye again. I've got a pen ready. Just fucking stab me in the eye.
Here I come to save the day,
dude.
Mighty Mouse.
Fucking love Mighty Mouse.
Yes. Damn it.
Super Chicken. Fucking love Super Chicken.
Tom Slick. George
Hong Kong Phooey.
Hong Kong Phooey. Yes.
Space Ghost. Coast to Coast.
Space Ghost. Well, the original Space Ghost.
Yeah.
Turbo Teen. Damn it. You get hot, you change into car. What kind of concept is that?
And it's really, really disturbing if you watch the animation now. It's like, wow, his ass turns into a fucking chrome bumper. And everybody's going to jump into.
If you're watching this video and you don't know about some of these cartoons that we naming, look them up. They're very interesting.
Oh.
But some of them worked.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Rubik's Cube had a cartoon. And he was a magical Rubik's Cube until he got scrambled and the kids had to unscramble him. Yeah.
We talked about the Flintstones. They actually had the Flintstone Kids.
Yes, they did. Tom and Jerry Kids, the Flintstone Kids, a pup named Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Hanna-Barbera put out a lot of them, and Hanna-Barbera
ruled.
They're also the ones that you can thank for what they call 1/6s, which is the animation where they only animated like every 6 fucking frames instead of 24 altogether.
The groupie Ghoulies were notorious for that.
Yeah, no, all of them were notorious. Like, if anybody was chasing somebody, they would be passing like the same thing in the background like 7 fucking times before they got caught.
I mean, okay, when you talk about Hanna-Barbera, you got to mention Yogi Bear. You got to mention Snagglepuss. You got to mention Quick Draw McGraw, El Kabong. You have to mention...
There are no black people.
Okay, fine. Galaxy Goof Up. The Galaxy Goof Ups. Laugh Olympics.
There are no black people.
Okay, fine.
The Jetsons.
Blue
There are no black people.
Yeah, Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt.
In the past, there are no black people. In the fantasy world, there are no black people. In the future,
What What about Jabberjaw? I mean, you got a fucking shark playing the drums, dude.
Underwater, there's no black people.
No.
Jabberjaw, man.
Oh,
And what's that fucking what's that cartoon with the buggy?
Yeah, Speed Buggy.
Speed Buggy.
In Cars, there are no black people.
Oh my god.
Although they let a darker skinned person on in Josie and the Pussycats.
No, not Josie and the Pussycats.
Jim. We forgot about Jim.
That was
the real Jim.
That has substance to it.
The real Jim. The one that Jim and the holograms.
That's basically what Hannah Montana copied.
This is horrible. That is so horrible.
Exactly. It's horrible, but fuck.
Yeah. I mean, not to go ahead and take this away from Gray Mouse, because he's the one who brought it up. The thing about this is that the reason why we're able to go off is that, like a lot of things, like video games, there are a lot of cartoons out there, and we've been on this earth for almost 40 years, for a lot of us. We've seen a lot of them come and go, and on request, we were asked to talk about it. This is just a drop in the bucket, really. We got lots to go on if we really want.
There might be a part 2 to this one.
There's gotta be a part 2 to this one.
Yeah, but for this particular video, we're going to go ahead and end it right now. We're the middle-aged guys. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
Old cartoons, new cartoons. Better than the shit that's out now. Credits.
At least black people exist now in cartoons.